so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads. I've turned into a crooner, a very questionable and lackluster crooner, but you know, practice makes, maybe not perfect, but it's gonna make something. Maybe it'll make someone laugh. How are you guys? I'm doing great. So happy to be here with you as always. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. We are going to chat. I'm going to chat into a microphone today. You're going to pick it up at some point. Today, tomorrow, a year from now, 100 years, maybe someone 100 years from now is hearing this. And yeah, I imagine that could happen. And let's see, where is it? Let's look at the date. Oh, okay. So it's December 12th, 2017. So what would that be? That'd be December 12th, 2117. Someone is listening to this, and whoever you are magical. I just want to tell you, my ancestor, the ancestor of our people, maybe I'm still around. Who knows? I'd be getting up there, but it's certainly possible. They say people will be able to live to 150 easily now, they think. People who are in their 60s and 70s are saying could live to be 150. Some people are saying thousands of years old. So who knows? Maybe I'll just be a youngin' still. Maybe I'm listening to this on December 12th. Who knows? But won't that be cool if someone tunes in? I'm going to set the intention. I've got 100 years to manifest this. Someone will hear this on that day, and they're going to be floored, and they're going to realize how important the message of today's show is just for them. There's synchronicity for you, carrying many, many years into the future. All right, moving into today's show. That's a great start, though. That's fun. I definitely, even if I'm not in the physical at that time, if I am in the physical, you better let me know that you heard it on this day. Yeah, just share with me the synchronicity of it all. Otherwise, I'll be in spirit and definitely peeking in on that because, yeah, that's pretty magical. It's almost like a time capsule, right? All right. I'll get into today's show. Today, I do have a review by Sammy C1111 on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, they definitely help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love that is this show. And Sammy wrote quite the review here. Let's take a gander. Hi, Brandon. I just want to say thank you. Your podcast has 100% changed my life for the better. I'm a single mother of two, working, school, trying to be supermom, and come fully loaded with what mainstream psychology would say is some serious baggage, PTSD, and a great deal of trauma when I was a child. By the way, I do not stand by these labels, but just to give you an idea of my background, I struggled with severe addiction for some time to numb myself out from the pain of this place called Earth and all that it brought. As a child, I felt so alone, so many questions, and coming from an abusive home life, my biggest question was always why, and more importantly, why me? Since my children, I have let go of my self-destructive ways as I finally had a reason to care about my own life. And that was them. Yet I still felt empty, broken, and alone. However, your podcast has given me so much knowledge and answered questions I've been plagued with my whole life that no one else could ever give me an answer to. I live in a pretty isolated and small town in Montana. So there are not a lot of events or teachings or even groups of people that I know of here locally that openly express the same thoughts, beliefs, and feelings about our purpose here on Earth, ascension, and oneness. Your podcast came into my life almost a year ago in January and is giving me so much peace about my own life, my past, the infamous why, and the journey that lies ahead. I have newfound hope in my fleeting moments of joy for the first time in my life. Don't really have time to go into the ins and outs of all of it, but please just know this podcast has been a catalyst of change in my life whose influence has far outweighed that of any book, person, TV show, etc. that I have encountered on my quest for meaning, truth, and answers. Thank you for your labor of love, Brandon. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you, and thank you for pulling me out of an unwavering state of depression and apathy. Thank you for your teaching, sharing, humor, love, and time. Thank you for my children as well. As the healthier and happier I become, the happier they are in return. Words cannot express the degree to which you have touched our lives with your service. Thank you for all that you do and who you are, a truly beautiful reflection. Aw. Well, thank you, Sammy C., for taking the time to write this review. Maybe it's your children that listen to this 100 years from now. I can't get off of that idea. It's such a fun one. And thank you, yes, for taking the time to write and to connect. And you know, here's the thing is, I didn't pull you out of your state of depression and apathy. You did. I'm just putting out a tool that you are picking up, right? I am a reminder of what you already know within yourself, all of you. There's nothing I can tell anyone that they don't already know. It's a matter of remembering what we've forgotten. And so it's an honor to remind you of the power that you have to change your situation and your outlook. And all these challenges now get to transform into this great tool that you get to utilize to fuel your own growth, right? The caterpillar destroys everything. It munches everything. It destroys all the plants. But then that turns into a goo, which powers the butterfly's transition, right? So that's what we get to do. We get to take these challenges and we get to use them as a fuel, a source to to make the transition into the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves. So you are a powerful creator, and it's a pleasure to connect, Sammy. And yeah, for those of you who haven't reviewed on iTunes, obviously I get excited for when you guys take the time to send the love back my direction. It definitely means the world. Also, if you're not on the Facebook page, Positive Heads, definitely jump on there. It's a wonderful group of lovely P-Heads, listeners connecting, sharing, supporting one another. Actually, what I'm going to read today came from a post that someone made in the Facebook group. But before I do, I want to give a quick shout out to Ross from the Spiritual Phoenix podcast. He sent me a lovely agate, custom embroidered Positive Head logo. A little, what's the best way to reference what it is? Slab. It's an agate slab. Yeah, that's how he references it on his site. And he does some amazing sacred geometry ones, embroidered with clocks as well. So I recommend not only checking out his podcast, but also checking out thespiritualphoenix.com for, if you're interested in getting one of these amazing pieces that he's created. So I just wanted to give a quick thanks for that. It's such a wonderful gift that randomly came in the mail, and just so thoughtful and amazing. I found an incredible place for it in the studio. Actually, it seems perfectly meant for it, and I'll take a picture soon and upload it into the Facebook group for you guys to check out. All right, moving lightly along. Here's some light for you. Paula May posted in the Facebook page. She started by saying, "Love this analogy," and it goes like this: your whole holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your arm, making you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Well, because someone bumped into me, of course. Wrong answer. You spilled the coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in the cup, you would have spilled tea. Whatever is inside the cup is what will spill out. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, we all know, whatever is inside you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you get rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what's in my cup? When life gets tough, what spills over? Joy, gratefulness, peace, humility, or anger, bitterness, harsh words, and reactions? You choose. I love that. It's such a powerful way to understand what's going on. You know, what's in your cup? What's in there? What's bubbling up in there? How do we know? Well, those challenges bring it out. Oh, and then in the end it says, today let's work towards filling our cups with gratitude, forgiveness, joy, words of affirmation, kindness, gentleness, and love for others. So such a cool, wonderful analogy there. I absolutely love it. And so I wanted to explore that today. And that's the wonderful thing also about the Facebook group. And when you guys write in questions as well, I love to co-create in this way. So this inspired me today. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. And of course, what popped up on the Facebook page immediately after, when I went back to look for this, like maybe 30 minutes later, I was preparing, to record today. An older quote from maybe a week or so ago, or post from a week or so ago from Crystal Dawn popped up and said, I'm sitting here with, what do you think she's sitting with? Her morning cup of coffee. And I'm looking at the sink full of dishes and the mound of laundry that needs to be done. And I actually feel happy and elevated. It's been a rough year, but this group and this podcast are a huge reason why I experience more moments like this one. Sending you all love and light. I love the synchronicity of this popping up, right in conjunction with me looking for the coffee post, this post where Crystal's talking about sitting with her cup of coffee, taking on a perspective that makes her elevated, that creates an elevated state. So it's all this. It's the same thing, right? When someone bumps you, you can say, "Oh, wow, I'm pissed. Someone cut you off on the road. I'm pissed." Or, "Oh, wow, this is wonderful that this person is giving me the opportunity to not react, to be non-reactive." Calm is your superpower, and this is one that is huge for me. You guys have heard me talk about it a lot because as someone who, it has a lot of energy, reacting has definitely been something I've had to work really hard at and continue to work at, is that fieriness to jump all over someone or when something's not in alignment. Well, what's spilling, in alignment with what I choose or want or expect, right? And, what's happening in that moment? All my agitation is spilling out. That's just a catalyst to bring out what's already inside of me when I'm doing that. So I've worked really hard at that. And now when something happens, not saying I'm always successful, but I'm certainly, I've improved so much by bringing attention to it, by continuing to practice, to be aware that, hey, this is happening for me, not to me. And it's allowing, like Rumi said, how will your mirror be polished if you're annoyed by every rub? So a lot of times these rubs are happening so that it's like working out, right? You're getting your strength. I found a quote that I love that says, when you can't control what's happening, challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening. That's where your power is. And it's such a true statement. It's definitely where all the power is. Calm is your superpower. So next time someone is coming into your world and rubbing up against you, think of it as them polishing your mirror, not rubbing up against you in some agitating way that is there to really harm you. It's actually there to help you. They may not even be aware that they're working for you, and that's fine. You don't need them to. They're props in your movie, right? You're the center of your own private universe where you're always getting what you need to grow and become the next greatest and greatest version of yourself. So what I'd like to do, so I'd like to take a few minutes and listen to a great clip by none other than Esther Hicks. I found this on the Abraham Hicks YouTube page. Sorry, actually, I didn't find it on the Abraham Hicks YouTube page. I found it on the Dewdrop 157 YouTube page, and it's Gain Control of Your Reactions to Life with This Daily Habit is the title. Let's take a listen.
I've been using meditation as a practice for...
That's a really good way to practice a vibration.
How do I tell the difference, between that gut feeling and that head and those different thoughts that are coming in on maybe a decision to make or something to go for?
We've been talking a lot about inspiration, but we want to remind you all here today that that feeling of inspiration is that feeling of being called. It's really a feeling of momentum. So you can be inspired from the receptive mode, from the receiving mode, from source, or you could be inspired from your resistant mode, from trouble. In other words, sometimes if someone is behaving in a way that causes a reaction to you, you feel like responding in the way you do. And so you are inspired, you might say. You just want to be aware of from what vibrational stance the inspiration is coming. You see what we're getting at? So there is no way around this other than to consciously acknowledge what the receiving mode feels like. Compliment yourself when you are there. Acknowledge the benefit of being there, not just because of the results that happen, but because of how good it feels along the way. And before you know it, you just become less willing to think the thoughts that will eventually lead to the more unwanted experience. It really is about practicing it. But we've never known anyone who was successful at shifting their vibration who did not understand vibrational basis of things. Almost everyone in your world is reacting to situations. So it's just a reaction to this and a reaction to this and a reaction to this. And we want you to realize that you didn't come as a reactor, you came as a creator. And so what you're wanting to do is first thing in the morning, before there has been anything really for you to react to, do your best through meditation is a really good way to tune in to who you really are. And then after you've tuned into who you really are, then you can begin reacting to the impulses that are coming from that. Such a good word. We haven't talked about reaction in this context with much depth. Is it of value to you? Can you feel it?
Awareness has been something which is built over time as my frequency has changed and as I've done more meditation practices. And oftentimes now I may react and I'll go, damn it, I knew I should have caught it then. How can we, is there any strategies or anything that we can implement to be able to catch things quicker?
Yeah, acknowledging that you didn't catch it quicker is a good step in queuing yourself up to be ready earlier. But we want to insert another word into this conversation so that you can look at this in a different way. Let's use an example, not necessarily one that you're offering, where someone is suing you or negatively affecting you in some way, and you have a reaction about that. What we would like to say is that really what it is a continuation of a vibration. The things that are manifesting in your experience are actually reactions to a vibration that you've got going on. So in a world of law of attraction, isn't everything a reaction? Everything's a reaction to the vibration that you've got going on. That's really important to acknowledge. Can you feel how important that is? So in this continuum of reactions, you just got to decide to what do you want to react? And what vibration do you want to practice to which you know the universe will respond or react? And so someone sort of has to break the evil cycle. We're being playful with that word because otherwise it's just a chain of pain. And someone has to decide, wait a minute, I'm not going to go the way of this momentum. I'm going to do something else, but I can't do it right now because the momentum is taking me. So I'm just going to take a hiatus from this conversation or from this topic. And I'm going to focus upon the things where my reaction and the universe's reaction to my reaction is what I want it to be. So So let's not condemn reaction. Let's call it a natural consequence of the vibrational universe in which we are all focused. And instead, let's just talk about getting better at focusing and better at sending a signal to which the universe is going to react. And just be playful about it. That's really important. Esther started playing a game with herself where when wonderful things would happen, she would say, I did that. And when not wonderful things would happen, she would say, I did that too. Because there's something so empowering about accepting that you are doing it all and the universe is reacting to you. Now it's fair to say, yeah, but I reacted to something else before I was offering a vibration that the universe was reacting to. And we say, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So your questions are so important because you're saying, so how can I stop being that reactor? How can I change the vibration? We say, you just got to practice. And what's at the root of that is really caring how you feel. Finally, once and for all, not being willing to put up with negative emotions, even if they're not that strong. Most of you put up with stuff until it gets really big, and then you react in a stronger way. In other words, I'm just not going to put up with that anymore. Well, you could have had softer, subtler reactions all the way along that would have been less impactful for your experience. But it's all good, isn't it? Really? Isn't it all good? Isn't it all part of the process? Don't you kind of like figuring things out as you go? And so maybe the strongest thing that we'd like to say to you is if you can resist the temptation to beat up on yourself about things and just say, well, this is good, or I needed that, or that was good clarification for me, or I'm glad that happened because now I understand this, or now I've put more into my vortex, or in other words, just find a way of making peace with yourself. Do everything you can to make yourself feel better about yourself.
Is that the same when fear arises and it takes over?
Doesn't matter what it is. Fear is just a stronger momentum. Fear as opposed to frustration, or fear as opposed to even overwhelmment. Fear is an indicator of a stronger discord, which could mean some different things. It usually means this really matters to you and you're in opposition to it. And it also usually means that you've been practicing the vibration and you've allowed the momentum to become quite strong. That usually means that you could have stopped it at many opportunities at an earlier time. But there's a lot of justifying that almost everyone does about why you didn't. And usually it's just because you didn't take the time or because you're too busy. That's a big factor for so many of you. You get yourself so task-oriented and so time-sensitively task-oriented that you don't feel like you have the luxury of time to process things or to find a better thought. But you can soothe that a lot with a very small habit. And that is, if we were standing in your physical shoes, the first thing in the morning, we would decide before we sleep even, that in the morning we're going to get this day off in a more deliberate vibrational pattern. And we would wake up, drink and eat something, brush your teeth and wash your face and get yourself feeling comfortable. And then we would sit and quiet our mind for 15 minutes until any resistant vibration is no longer pressing. And then we would set forth gentle intentions about how we want to feel for this day. Esther will write things. We encouraged her some months ago to just pick one emotion that you really enjoy and focus on it for maybe as much as 5 minutes after you've meditated. And so Esther started out with the word fun. Fun. Just focused on fun. And just really said the word fun until the feeling of fun sort of began coming over her. And what she began to notice is that after a day or two or three of spending about 5 minutes just focused upon the idea of fun, fun things would occur to her. And she started scheduling more fun things to do for herself or for herself with others, just more fun things. And then once she had found the fun of that, then the word that she chose was clarity. I like the feeling of clarity. And in order to really amplify how nice the feeling of clarity is, she put it up against the feeling of confusion. And she played that game, confused or clear-minded. And there was something about that feeling of confusion. And then just to make sure that she was focusing it the way she meant to, she thought about that foggy feeling or that unfocused feeling where, what did I do with my keys, or where is my phone, or what have I done with something? And then she thought, clarity. I know where my keys are. I know where I've put them. I know where my phone is. And then after a while it went further, that feeling of being in the right place at the right time, and the timing of saying something just right, and the meeting of other people who were there, and the parlaying of the idea up and up and up and up and up, till that feeling of clarity became sort of an intoxicating addiction, one that she almost was not willing to leave her room until she was sure that she had accomplished the feeling of clarity. And even though oftentimes she left her bedroom where she had been meditating and doing her processes before she had accomplished the feeling of clarity, because the feeling of clarity is a reaction to some things, isn't it? But just playing that game, she started noticing how clear she was, how easy the day unfolded, how good her timing was, how many things rendezvoused with her, and she knew that this process was working for her, you see. Jerry and Esther have a friend who is a therapist. She has lots of credentials, and she counseled, or at that time was counseling, quite a few people. And we were talking about the idea of scripting, which is like telling the story the way you want it to be, putting the components in it the way you like it. I did this and it felt like this, and then I did this and it felt like this. So this woman had some people who she was assisting, one of them her son, who is a really good carpenter. He makes finished furniture. He was the best around, but he didn't have any business. And so she just began focusing on him and thinking about his success, because it was pleasurable to do, much more pleasurable than reacting to his reality. And because he was removed enough from her, she took pleasure in this game. So she wasn't doing it to try to fix something. She was doing it for the pleasure that it gave her. And then she began noticing that his phone began ringing and things began happening, and she realized that she was amplifying something about him and meeting him on the level of his desire. And he was close enough to the vibration of his own receiving that it made a big difference in his experience. So the reason that we tell you this story is because we want you to realize that you have the potential of really uplifting anything that you turn your attention to, provided you can find that upliftment first. So this conversation of reacting, we just really are enjoying it, because we want you to offer on purpose and then react to your own offering. We want you to realize that your inner being has an opinion about everything that you are living, and that the emotion that you are feeling is a reaction to those two vibrations. That's guidance, isn't it? If your inner being feels optimistic about something and you are not optimistic about it, you feel uncomfortable because you are feeling the reaction of those two competing vibrations. So we love that you are a reactor. We love that you are sensitive. We love that you feel deeply, and we love that you feel quickly. And now what we want to encourage is that you do something about what you feel, and what it always is lean toward the more positive. That's all. That's all it takes. Just reach for a little better feeling thought every time you get that sensation, and then watch what begins to happen.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
So many pearls of wisdom in here. You came as a creator, not a reactor. And here's the thing about that. If you have, I noticed this guy talking about, and then I catch myself having reacted negatively, and I'm like, shoot, why'd I do that? Well, here's the thing. It's all about stopping the cycle, right? So don't react to your negative reactions. That's a huge, huge takeaway. And it's not something that she touched on a little bit, but don't later on actually in the talk, I believe, where she was talking about just stopping the cycle. And in the world of law of attraction, everything is a reaction. You get to decide which ones you want to perpetuate. which ones you keep bouncing around, right? And if they're ones that no longer serve you, honor them, own them, know that they showed up for you and through you, but you can sort of turn that down, if you will. You can let that vibration dissipate by not perpetuating it. Don't keep bouncing it around. And even when it does show up, accept it as well. Hey, I did that, she said, whether good, whether bad. But then if it's a bad one, don't keep perpetuating it. Otherwise, what did she say? A chain of pain. So I love this whole technique, waking up, sitting for 15 minutes until no resistant vibration. Then once you've calmed the pond, right? You've calmed the waves, then set gentle intentions for how you will feel this day. After, she said after a few days she gave the example of focusing on fun, things came up that matched that. Of course it did. Clarity was next. Looking at sort of the contrast, being in the right place at the right time. All of these are so powerful. What a fun way to really put to the test a lot of the stuff we talk about here, especially if anyone out there who's kind of like on the fence about some of this, maybe who's exploring it and listening. I challenge you to do this very thing and set the intentions for how you'll feel this day. Drum up the vibration of what you want, fun, clarity, whatever, and then see what comes up. See what you create. See if you are indeed a creator to your reality, as opposed to maybe you're the reactor that we've went through life being, for the most part, thinking that life is out there happening to you. And now as you explore the idea that it's actually happening through you, and what's out there is no out there. It's a reflection of a previous vibration that you've offered. And that's why it's important to accept the good and the bad that shows up. The difference is accept it, but then release it if it's not something you want to continue to perpetuate. If it is something you want to continue to perpetuate, play in it, bask in it, drum it up, write affirmations on the wall about what's drummed up, do whatever to continue to amplify and do whatever you need to do to nullify the vibrations you don't want to keep seeing more reflections of in your reality. And, I really like the story with the woman and her son, who was a great carpenter, I believe, if I'm recalling what his craft was, and yet he had no business. Well, what did she do? She started just having fun with drumming up the version of him that's successful and having a lot of business, right? Now, what I would say is what's really kind of trippy about this, when you understand there's infinite versions of reality, there's all these timelines. So literally every moment we're sifting and jumping into different timelines with this is something Bashar talks a lot about. You're literally jumping timelines all the time with your vibration. So what was she doing? She's consciously steering her ship, that is her, into a version of reality where she has a son who is successful with this craft, right? And it's that version of him. On another channel, there's probably her sitting there not taking conscious part in that process she went down the road of, having fun drumming up the feelings of him being successful. And there's probably a version of reality where he still wasn't successful, right? So you are navigating to the greatest and grandest version of yourself, and all those around you, they're all props in your movie, if you will. So once you understand how powerful you are and empowered you are to create what comes next, just gets fun, right? This is just a game. We're just having, now you're at the fun part. You understanding the rules, it's like way different. Like, why are any of you focused on any of the hardship in the past? I understand processing and releasing, but the fact that you landed here and you're connecting with this message and this broadcast, you're resonating with it out of all the things coming your direction, is a really, really, really good sign where you're at in your process of creation, right? Where you're at in the game. This point in the game is like, okay, here you go. Here's all the rules. Here's how it works. Now go play. It's a lot easier to play, tennis when you have a tennis racket, right? Most of you have been playing handball. Most of us, a lot of us have been trying to play tennis with our hand, and we've got a lot of calluses, but now you got a nice shiny new racket, and I hope you use it well. With that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this serving of another podcast. Get it? It's a serving. I served it. Oh man. Sorry guys. I love you all. Thank you for bearing through my really bad jokes. Sometimes my good jokes, they're all good. In my heart, that's all that matters. And with that, I'm going to serve you up another song. I do have Feverkin here, who I've played before, and very cool artist. And he did a really cool calendar project this year. So every month releasing a different song titled for whatever the month is. And this is November. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Love you all. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.